Well, hello, my name is Sarah McCubbin. I'm from 10 Minute Momentum. Um, if we've never met before, I have 9 kids, um, and we've homeschooled for 15 years, almost 16 years. Some of my kids are homeschooled, some of them go to a Christian school, and we have tried all kinds of education in the past uh, 15 years. So I love to talk about education of all kinds, but I really, really love to talk about social skills, life skills, leadership, because I find that when it comes down to it, we can do a lot of learning in books, but then there's a lot of things we have to learn just by doing. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. One of the things that I have really enjoyed learning through was when my kids got jobs. So today I'm going to talk about why teenagers should get jobs. It's not really an academic topic, but I think it's really practical. And I remember when my oldest got a job, he was 16, I think. He had been mowing lawns before that, but then he went and got a job at McDonald's. And immediately he started having some authority struggles, like, I know more than the boss kind of thing. And so we had the opportunity to talk about authority, and he got to learn about authority. Then my daughter got a job. She was very quiet. She did not want to have a job where she talked to people. She actually got a job at McDonald's too. Um, she got a job before she was 16, even though she had done childcare and other things before that. And when she got the same job as my son, she didn't learn about authority. What she started to learn about was how to talk to people. She got really comfortable with those repetitive conversations. She got comfortable asking questions when she needed help. And then I've had other kids get jobs there. I actually have 3 more that have gotten jobs at the same McDonald's, and each one has learned something different. And none of it has been something you could easily learn from a book. So this isn't a promo for McDonald's, but I am a huge fan of teenagers getting a job. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because traditionally, the reason we might want our teenagers to get a job is to earn money, right? And money is obviously a huge perk. And in our family, it was an amazing benefit because we do have 9 kids, and there was only so much extra disposable income for them to buy all the fun things they wanted to buy. So obviously, earning money is a huge benefit. Um, but there's a ton more. So let's start from the top. I'm going to go through 10 different reasons I think teenagers should get a job, and there's probably way more. Okay, so the first one is you have an income, and there's a significant benefit to this. It is a great learning opportunity to have your own money when you're a teenager. The first reason it's a great opportunity is you get to learn how much things actually cost. My dad paid for everything when I was in high school and college. And when I finally got married, I was blown away by how much things cost. I had no idea. I had zero framework. I had had a little bit of spending money here and there, but I had never paid for my insurance. I'd never paid for a car payment. I had never paid for, school, nothing. And so I had no framework for how money really worked on a large scale. So when our kids get jobs, they start paying for their clothes. They pay for their insurance. They often will pay for any special extras, even special food that they want that maybe isn't in the budget. So they start spending money. Now, that doesn't mean that they always spend it well or on the things that we want them to spend it on, but it's a great learning experience. Having that money gives them a way to practice using the money. So great, they earn money. As a side benefit, they also begin to appreciate money more. One of my kids, I always say she's struggled with gratitude. many, many people had done nice things for her, but I had only ever heard her really genuinely say thank you, maybe like 5 times her whole life. She didn't really ask for a lot of things, but she also wasn't really grateful when people did do nice things for her. And I realized that it was because she had very little framework around what it meant that somebody was giving her a gift. So when she started working, oh my goodness, all of a sudden, if somebody gave her $20 or they bought her lunch or they did anything for her, she was suddenly a lot more appreciative because she understood how much work was behind a $20 gift or a $50 gift or whatever, right? Doesn't have to be just the money. She suddenly understood that them giving her something meant that it was a sacrifice because they had worked to earn that money, and that suddenly meant something to her. So she became more appreciative. The next thing, number 3, is that when teenagers have a job, they learn the value of doing a job right. So, as you can imagine, as we've all experienced, if we've had jobs, there is a learning curve to doing any job right, whether that is mowing the grass or babysitting kids or working at McDonald's, working at Walmart, whatever, right? Working for dad, there's always a learning curve to every job. And when they go into a job and they don't do it right, and they have the opportunity to fix it, right? First of all, they encounter the frustration that someone has because they didn't do the job right. And then when they work hard to improve and do better, they start to realize that, wait, not everyone in the workplace wants to improve. Not everyone wants to do better. And very soon they start to be kind of set apart if they're the kind of kid that works hard and works to improve and apologizes when they do something wrong. It really starts to set them apart from the general workforce because they work hard and because they work to correct things when they make a mistake. I love number 4. A job reinforces positive values and skills taught at home. Now, my daughter, who I referenced before, when she started working at McDonald's, I remember one of the fun moments for me as a mom. She hated doing chores, like hated doing chores. And she would do them, but it was always a struggle. And so one of her early weeks on the job, they had her training a new employee. And the new employee needed to sweep the floors. And the person she was training, who was at least 14, didn't know how to use a broom to sweep the floors. And she came home and she said, Mom, I remember when you taught me how to sweep the floor when I was 8 years old. She was adopted when she came to live with us when she was 8. So that was one of the early lessons. We do chores. And so she said, I remember when you taught me how to use a broom when I was 8. And here she was teaching somebody else who was 14 at least how to use a broom. And, obviously we had all these power struggles over chores, but it reinforced the skills, the values we had taught at home. And that happened over and over again in the workforce where honesty was reinforced, or where encouraging other people, or by being helpful, or kind of working when it was inconvenient. Lots of values were reinforced and lots of skills as well. All right, number 5 is getting a job will help kids understand the kind of work they might want to do in the future. So obviously, when you're a young teenager, there's not a lot of job opportunities out there, right? My boys mowed grass when they were 13 or 14. My daughter, she kind of worked for an in-home daycare when she was the same age. There's not a lot of jobs that you can get before the age of 14, and really only a few when you are 14. So they start working, they start doing different things, and that process helps them learn what kind of environment they enjoy and what kind they don't enjoy. It was funny, my 14-year-old son last year, he mowed lawns and he complained all the time. Oh, this is hard. It's terrible. He was getting paid a decent amount of money, but he was complaining a lot. Well, then he went and got a job at McDonald's. And as it turns out, he really would prefer to mow grass over working at McDonald's. So now he has these two work experiences to compare. He's mowing grass again this year and working at McDonald's, and he doesn't complain about mowing grass because he's learned, I like to work outside. I like to work with my hands. I like to stay busy. I like to be moving. These are all things that are true of that kid. Now, some of my other kids really like working at McDonald's. They're totally fine with it. One of my sons said, hey, I really like this job because it's flexible. So it's not about flipping hamburgers. For him, it's about it being flexible with the hours, and he appreciates that. So jobs help our teenagers start to understand what they value in the workplace. All right, jobs, number 6, jobs help develop a lot of soft skills. So what are soft skills? Well, first, let's start with what are more like hard skills, right? When you go look for a job on Indeed or any other hiring board, they have some skills. They might say you need to have a driver's license or know Microsoft Word or have this certification or be able to lift 50 pounds, things like that. Those are hard skills. But there's also soft skills that we want our teenagers to learn, and they might include navigating conflict, speaking clearly, problem solving, customer service skills, things that are not so linear. Like they might not have learned that in a book. They might have not have learned that skill in a course. You have to kind of learn it by experience. And so getting jobs is a great place to learn these things. Very often, my kids would have a day at work and they would come home, and of course, something didn't go right. Maybe there was a problem with a customer. Maybe there was a problem with the employer. Maybe they were the problem. There was a lot of different possibilities. And so that gave us the opportunity to go through, talk about what went right, what didn't, what could they do different in the future? How should they talk to the other person? You know, all those different things they were learning while they were just teenagers, right? Number 7, the work environment brings teens into contact with people who are different. All right, we are a very conservative family. And when my kids went to work, they were surrounded by a lot of other teenagers and adults who were not conservative. So they were surrounded by a lot of families who are teenagers who had very different belief systems than ours. They had different lifestyles. And so suddenly they're working shoulder to shoulder with people that see the world very differently. And I thought it was awesome because, first of all, they were able to learn how to ask good questions. You're going to butt heads with people if you can't have normal conversations with people who see the world differently, and you're working with them for 8 hours. So they learned how to have meaningful conversations with people from all walks of life. And again, it's not something you can easily learn in a textbook. I don't know if I would have been really excited about them taking that job if I knew that, they would be coming into contact with people that were, really espousing things we didn't agree with. But it has turned out to be an amazing opportunity, and I wouldn't change it. So I know that's one thing we think about when we're sending our kids out to get jobs, like, will they be safe? I definitely think about that. And so teaching our kids how to talk to people who believe different things has been a huge benefit, and it hasn't been a safety issue. Okay, so number 8 is a great one, and that is some jobs offer teens college money. Many chains have scholarship money for their employees. For example, at McDonald's, students who work 90 days prior to college classes starting for 15 hours a week, they can get a scholarship for $2,500 a year. And they can get this for all 4 years of college. So our son, who did this, he's going to a state university. And so for the first 3 years of his college, he was working at McDonald's. And so he was able to get the scholarship for 3 years. Now he has a different job while he's finishing his degree, but that can make a huge dent in a state school. You don't have to keep working after you start college. It's literally just for 90 days before. And so there are other chains that also offer college benefits, and it's worth researching. Some of them offer benefits for college classes online. Some of them, it doesn't matter where you go. So that's a great benefit. All right, number 9, getting a job lets teens step gradually into adulthood. And I kind of alluded to this because before, when I said that, I didn't really have that opportunity to step gradually into adulthood. My parents had been very generous and paid for everything other than, a little spending money here and there, but they paid for pretty much everything. And so it was a little bit jarring when I got married. I was 20 when I got married, and suddenly went from having no expenses to having rent and utilities and gas and car maintenance and all those things. I think my dad still paid for my car insurance for the whole first year we were married. They really had to kind of ease us off because they had paid for so much. So my husband and I realized that we really wanted something different for our kids. And so when our kids get jobs, they gradually start paying for more and more of their things, right? They pay for their clothing and their phone and their insurance, and they pay for cell phones and, lots of things like that are just, most of them are optional. And then eventually, once they get to be college age, now they're paying for their gas and they're paying for their schooling. So it is very possible for teenagers to kind of gradually step into adulthood. And I find that it reduces anxiety quite a bit when you take this in baby step increments rather than putting all this responsibility on a teenager when they're 18. It's so much easier and empowering to start building those skills when they're younger, right? 13, 14, and baby steps, you're handing over more and more responsibility for their own life. All right, number 10, and this this number 10 is just super practical. Teenagers getting job can ease the family finances. So for most of my married life, my husband has been the only one who worked. And so he's a nurse. And so you can imagine that finances get really tight sometimes. And especially as we have had more and more teenagers. For a while, we had 5 teenagers. Now we're down to 4. So I have another one this summer. So we have a lot of teenagers, and teenagers want to do fun things. They want to have the opportunity to spread their wings, try stuff, have the cool clothes or the fun gadgets, whatever. And by allowing them to work, by allowing them to get jobs, it really does lift the burden on the family finances, because now my husband and I aren't trying to fund all the fun, cool opportunities for our teenagers. We do help pay for camps and things like that, but we no longer feel the weight of buying the cool tennis shoes and a full wardrobe and, going out to lunch with friends and, every little fun activity, we don't have to bear that weight personally. So it has eased the family finances. Now, you might be wondering, like, should all teenagers get jobs? um, I'm not gonna say categorically that every teenager should get a job, but I think there are very few exceptions. I think that most teenagers should have jobs because even if the family can afford for the teenager not to work, there's so many benefits from having that job that are totally separate from the money. There are so many benefits when it comes to social skills, when it comes to life skills, when it comes to learning how to step into adulthood, that you really have to only learn through experience. And my husband and I have often said we would much rather them learn while they're in our own house than move out and then get the chance to learn and make all the mistakes, right? So I mean, every family is different and every circumstance is different, but I think it's a good goal to shoot for teenagers to have a job just for the learning experiences that come with it. Um, if you have a teenager who is considering getting a job, be sure to grab my interview tips and social skills for teens first job. It's 27 different interview tips and social skills to make it to help ease that transition into getting a job. It can feel like kind of a stressful thing to get a job for the first time, but really, if you go in prepared, you are presenting the best version of yourself, and employers really want good employees. And I think as a parent has been very affirming to realize that, hey, my kids, um, we struggled. It's not easy being a parent, right? And none of us are perfect. But when it's time to get a job, they have been able to go out and work for themselves and work for other people and do a great job. And that's been pretty affirming. So I would encourage you, if you're thinking about it, if you're trying to weigh the pros and cons, it's definitely something worth considering. And I would encourage you to download my interview tips and social skills. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here with you today. And I really enjoyed talking about teenagers getting a job. It's been such a great thing for our family. And I strongly encourage you, if you're thinking about it, if your kids are thinking about, give it a shot and enjoy the ride, all the fun lessons they're going to learn on this journey of employment. Thanks for letting me be here with you today, and I hope this was helpful.